Hey, this is KJ with Truly Remarkable Life, and I am here with Queer Money Podcast today. This is John and David. Hey, guys.
Hi,
Hello
is David.
This is John.
So, we're here at the Mexican Hetero event down in Ajijic, and we're having a blast interviewing each other, getting to know each other, all these different channels, and creating a community of YouTubers so we can all elevate ourselves and bring better content to all of you who are watching. And so, Craig and I are actually here. Craig's back behind the camera, and we have the privilege of interviewing Queer Money Podcast, and we were actually on one of y'all's podcasts a few weeks ago. Right. So this is a little bit of a turn of events. Yeah. So are you guys enjoying your time here?
I'm loving it. This is our second time in Ajijic, and we escaped 9 degrees. It was 9 degrees when we left the airport in Detroit, and I think it's 72 this morning, and so I'm loving the weather right now.
Oh yeah, you guys are like totally rocking your shorts.
We have,
you're like
shorts,
it's nice, it's fantastic.
How about you?
Yeah, we're having a great time meeting all sorts of people, other YouTube creators and content creators. It's fun to see how they create their content, what inspires them, and how they got into this.
Well, speaking of inspiring, you guys actually, getting to know you guys and your channel and the podcast and all that kind of stuff, Craig and I don't really dive into a lot of finance stuff on our channel, and you guys have really inspired me to kind of maybe start looking at that in a different way, because I know a lot of our subscribers are interested in that sort of stuff. And so here's the thing: if you guys really want to know like the down on finances and a bunch of different locations, especially where queer people retire and stuff like that, check out Queer Money Podcast on YouTube. They're great. I have not been able to put down my phone watching all of your, hey, go to Portugal, hey, go to Germany, hey, go to Japan. It's fantastic, and it's a lot of fun. So go check them out. You guys are really going to enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe, like their videos. It's great. But speaking of inspiration, I would like to know about the guys, before the podcast. So what actually happened that took you guys to develop your YouTube channel?
So our YouTube channel is actually is kind of the offshoot of our podcast. We really went in earnest with YouTube probably around 2020, but our podcast started in 2016. The reason we have a podcast is because John and I are part of the personal finance community, and in 2015 we went to a personal finance conference, and there were about 900 content creators there, people from media, news, all over the world at this conference, and John and I are walking around holding hands, and we started to notice it, and then we had a couple of people say it to us too. They're like, no one else here is talking to the LGBT community. You guys need to start talking to the LGBT community. And so we went home from that conference and we said, okay, we need to start talking to our people more about finances and how finances are different for LGBT people. And that's where Queer Money came from. And we started the podcast in June of 2016. So we are now in our just starting our 11th calendar year of the podcast.
Gosh, wow, that's amazing. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll just add the reason that we got into the personal finance space was despite the fact that we spent our entire adult lives working in finance, it wasn't until a year and a half after we got together that we talked about our own financial situation. We had this fantasy that we were going to buy a vacation home in the mountains of Colorado, only to realize that between the two of us we had $51,000 in credit card debt. So here we had all this theoretical knowledge. We were helping all sorts of people with their finances, saving, investing, preparing for retirement, putting their kids through school, but we weren't applying any of the principles to our own lives. And then we thought, well, what hypocrites? So we paid off our debt in about a year and a half, just under 3 years. And we thought, well, now we have this personal and professional experience in finance. We could use that experience to help other people with their debt. And then a year or so later, we got gay.
That's awesome. So tell me about that journey, though. I mean, what was it like? You meet and you realize you have all these dreams, and you also have a mountain of credit card debt. And how did you guys really ratchet it down to be able to retire young?
So I think that you hit it on the head there, that John and I had dreams, and there are a lot of queer people. I think there are people all over everyone has their own dreams. And more often than not, we don't fulfill our dreams because we don't think ahead far enough of what it's going to take to actually achieve that dream. Whether that dream is something physical, like changing your body, or changing the location where you live, or changing your financial situation so you can achieve that dream. And I think that was what started our conversation, was the fact that we had that dream of wanting to have a vacation home in the mountains of Colorado. And we said, how is it that we were looking around and we were watching some of our friends, mostly straight people, who were achieving their dreams. They were buying their first homes. They were starting families. They were taking some of the vacations that we were jealous of. And we said, we can do that too. We just have to figure out how. The first step that I took after we confessed to each other that we were financial messes and that we needed to get our act together financially was that I sat down. It was interesting because at that point in time, I was laid off. I wasn't working. And so I took a whole day and I looked at every single penny that the two of us spent over the previous 12 months, and it blew us away where we were spending our money. Thousands of dollars a year on wine. Tens of thousands of dollars a year on Whole Food grocery shopping trips. Just the way in which we were spending our money did not align with our values and what we said we wanted in life. And we heard this quote from a guy named Dr. DeMartini. He said, "Show me where you spend your money and I'll tell you what your values are." And we started looking at that and said, well, we're not aligning our money spending with our values. And so we started having all sorts of conversations around what did we truly want our lives to look like. And that's when we boiled it down to the 4 things that we really wanted in life. 1, we wanted to save for a comfortable and happy retirement. We got that part, but that knowledge from working in finance. The second part is that we wanted to travel more, but we wanted to do it with cash instead of credit cards like we had been doing previously. We would sometimes come home from a vacation, not even have that vacation paid off before we were planning or taking the next vacation, which is so common, I think, in the world today. Third, we wanted to spend more time together, which eventually led us to starting our own business. And then fourth, we wanted to give back to the LGBT community, not only financially, but also with our time and energy. And it wasn't until we started aligning our money with spending towards those things that we actually were able then to give up the stuff that we knew we didn't really need or want.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. We didn't do all that. It is interesting though. I think that I think there are some unique challenges, especially for people in the LGBTQIA community. Like you said, we saw our straight counterparts being able to achieve these dreams and all that sort of stuff. And I know in some of our conversations and whatnot, it seems like there are unique challenges in our queer community that make it harder or to actually achieve those dreams. And I think that personally, I think some of it is self-sabotaging. And I'd be curious to hear, what do you guys think some of those challenges are that whenever you went down that journey, down that road, you were very easily able to go, well, my values are here and my actions are not lining up, but it's uniquely this queer space that's causing this. What were some of those things?
Yeah, I think from all the people that we've worked with and from our own experience, we know that one of the biggest challenges is that so many of us are trying to find approval, love, and acceptance. And the easiest way to do that, especially in America, is through consumption. Mm-hmm. I've got all the designer clothing, I do all the fabulous vacations, I've got the great, I can throw the best dinner parties, all these, thousands of dollars in dinner parties. And we're trying to buy approval from our current community, but we're also in a way trying to show the bullies and our parents and our churches who made our lives harder when we were younger that, hey, we were worth it. Look at us. I can afford all this expensive stuff. And so often we can't necessarily afford all that expensive stuff. Back when we were accruing all of our credit card debt, we were hanging out with doctors and lawyers who were making tons of money. On the other end of the income spectrum, we had friends who were retail queens and baristas. We all spent the same. We all had the same clothing. We all, went on the same vacations, and clearly some of us could afford that lifestyle more so than others. But we're all spending the same, all because we're trying to seek approval and acceptance. And I think another challenge that many of us have is that we're starting it so much later in life. We didn't, especially those in our age group. we didn't have our first same-sex relationship, our first kiss, until we were in our 20s or 30s. Well, that's kind of unfortunate because it kind of syncs up when you start to make more money. And you're like, okay, well, the best way to take this person out and show him that I'm interested in him is to spend money.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas if you're in high school, you don't really have that budget.
Yeah, right.
But then, of course, when we're finally getting into those adult experiences, like getting married and all that, then we've got to spend more than our straight friends do to show our marriage is just as worthy, right? We've got to spend more for adopting children or for surrogacy or whatever. It always costs a lot more than the same-sex couple. So there are multiple challenges, but I think a lot of it is just trying to prove that we're worthy, not only to society, but to ourselves.
So, all of us queer people out there need to start making statements sexy again.
Yes. Well, so studies have been done that show that couples who talk about their finances report having better quality sex lives.
Wow.
So if there's any inspiration to have that conversation with your partner, it's the sex will get better.
Go have it now.
I think that the thing is, the reason why that is, it's not the conversations that lead to better sex. It's the fact that when you are comfortable enough trusting your partner with some of the things you may have been hiding from them, you start to develop a very intense relationship. You have that intimacy of conversation, and all of that leads to trust in the bedroom too. Right? You start to trust each other, and you start to understand and want to be there for each other, rather than just being two people who are occupying the same bed or the same house.
And I think that can apply to everyone, regardless of their sexual orientation or anything. I think that goes across the board. Yeah, I think that's really, really cool. So, you guys, you got over your financial hurdles. Everything is going great. You're saving. Your values and your actions are all starting to align and everything. You get your own business. You start working together, and I mean, it's become everything that it is. It's amazing. You guys have had a wonderful, amazing journey. Just there on the wall from your podcast, your back wall. I just look at it. I'm like, wow, you guys have really had some amazing experiences. And we're not going to go into all those because I want you guys to tune into their channel and check it out. But my question for y'all is, what's next? Where are you going? Where's this all heading?
We're saying adios to the United States for a while, at least. I don't know if it's permanent, but we did say early on that we wanted to have a safe and comfortable retirement, and safety is a lot of different things to it. Means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and for us right now, living in a red state, we are ready to get out of there, and we're not at a point in our lives where we want to move to a blue state and spend a lot of money living in a very expensive city for less quality of life than we can in other places. So we started exploring about a year ago as to where we wanted to end up when it came to semi-retirement. We're not quitting the podcast. We're continuing all of our content creation, but we are done with chasing after the dollar, and so we now are going to be using some of our retirement money to live the life that we really want. And we started looking at Spain and Portugal first, and decided that's just a little too much out of our price range right now, and we wanted to be a little bit closer to home for our parents, who are both in their late 70s and 80s, and we decided on Mexico. So in July, most likely, we will be moving to San Miguel de Allende in Mexico.
I love San Miguel. Good, I can come visit y'all.
I wanted to add on to, you asked us what's next for us in our podcast.
Yeah.
One of the things that we are going to be doing is documenting our life changes of moving from the United States to San Miguel. So we're going to, we will have a video of you as to help us kick off a new playlist on our YouTube channel all about moving to Mexico. Not only how we've learned from other people, but what we're learning ourselves, because watching somebody else do it is probably one of the best ways to get yourself motivated to start doing it yourself.
That's very, very true. Well, and we're excited about that. We're excited to be on y'all's channel. So that's great. Thank you. That was great. I mean, that's almost like coming out, except that I was really thinking about the podcast. But thank you for all of that. So you guys are going to continue the podcast, and
Yeah, we're going to continue the podcast, continue our newsletter, and continue to we do coaching and have products and services for our audience. But what I'll share, piggyback off of David's story, is that just keep in mind that in our early 30s we had $51,000 in credit card debt. We had a negative net worth, and we're renting a friend's basement apartment in Denver because that's all we could afford. We were able to, with focusing on what mattered most to us and saving and investing aggressively, we were able to retire early in our early 50s.
see, and that's amazing. You know, it's funny because as we've gotten to know each other, y'all's story and mine and Craig's financial story, they align and they're very similar. And I would like to point out to our viewers, you know, we all had a lot of fun in our 20s and we all made some mistakes, and I think everybody does. And it was about that mid-30s where it actually was kind of, things just kind of started to fall into place. Like, okay, I've got to make some changes.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is Craig and I really didn't start hammering it down until we were in our like 35, 36. You know, and by 47, 48, we were retiring and moving abroad. So, I mean, it is something. It's totally feasible. It can be done. So, you guys can do it too. So, with all that, I'm going to say this is Queer Money Podcast. You guys have got to go check them out. They're great guys, a lot of fun, very entertaining. Go check out their channel, like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. All right. If you guys haven't already, go find your truly remarkable life and Queer Money Podcast. Bye. So we're actually talking about threesomes or foursomes, and
Blooper reel.
Really talking about that?
We're here with a great threesome today.
yes, it's great. Yeah, it's absolutely great. All right.